How's Beaumont? Doing well? I travel through there quite a bit over the course of my work week.
We're doing very well, very well. We got strong housing market still going. A
Mhm.
lot of interest in job creation as well as some retail and service industries. So can't complain. Everything's doing pretty well.
Kyle, I was going to ask you that Wolverine outlet out there, that facility, does it have an actual walk-in where people can purchase stuff?
It does not have like a retail store like Skechers does,
Okay.
but if you order certain brands from Wolverine online, you can pretty much guarantee it comes from that facility.
Testing,
Very good.
testing. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Although I've pushed them to put in a retail store, but I'm not exactly sure why. There's some corporate issue where they haven't done that yet.
That might not be a bad idea since the travel, people just go through, there's that fork
Can
in
you hear
that
me?
transportation corridor that could definitely lure some customers.
That's what I was thinking, and we have a lot of people within the Inland Empire that utilize their boots and shoes, so it's a perfect match. But what they've explained to me is there's an issue where they don't want to offend their retail stores that they supply to
Right.
within the area. So if I guess they feel if they open a retail store, it'll compete with their
Deplete,
customers, if you
yeah,
will.
deplete the customer base. Well, in about in October 2022, in Thousand Palms, we're
Test, test. Can you
we're
guys hear
beginning
me
the
okay?
Coachella Valley Arena.
Can you hear me?
It's gonna
Thank
be
you.
it's gonna be
Hello.
tremendous.
Here we
Good
go.
evening, everyone. We
And then there'll
apologize
probably be a lot
for.
of travel through Beaumont.
It says
Oh, yeah.
I'm muted. Says,
Yeah.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Doesn't sound like it.
Can you hear me? Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Good
barely
evening,
hear you.
everyone. I'm going to call this meeting of the City of Beaumont Economic Development Committee to order at 4:04 p.m. At this time, I'll ask Ms. Wheelwright to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Santos stated he would be absent this evening. Councilmember Fenn,
Here.
City Manager Todd Parton, Economic Development Manager Kyle Rosinski,
Here.
Member Ahmed,
Yeah.
Member Beneke. I think he was having some connection issues. Member Brown, Member Getka,
I'm here.
Member Copeland,
Here.
Chair Lawson,
Present.
Member Moran, Member
I can hear him
Rader,
next door. I apologize for my boss, Rob Moran, but he's next door. I'll see if I can get him in.
Member Rader. Here, you're muted, but I see you. Member Vince
Here.
and student Angelina Segovia. Alternate member Cashandra Samuel said that she would be absent this evening. Alternate member Fregoso. Not present. All right.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wheelwright, and thank you for already providing information with regard to excused absences. At this time, I will humbly ask Member Vince if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Member Vince. At this time, are there any adjustments to the agenda, Ms. Wheelwright?
I have none.
Thank you. Are there any conflicts of interest that we should discuss or disclose? Hearing none, at this time, we will then move on to public comment period. Do we have any public comments that need to be made?
I have no written requests. Heather, do we have anyone on the line?
No calls on the line.
All right, thank you both. Let's see. With that, we will move on to a review and approval of the minutes. If you have the minutes and have had an opportunity to review them, I will entertain a motion, please, for approval.
I motion.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. At this time, we will ask Ms. Wheelwright to call the roll to approve the minutes.
Councilmember Fenn,
Yes.
Manager Wardzinski,
Yes.
Member Ahmed,
Here.
Member Getka,
Yes.
Member Copeland,
Yes.
Chair Lawson,
Yes.
Member Rader,
Yes.
Member Vince,
Yes.
and I think I got everyone.
All right, thank you so much. And let me, I digress for one moment and apologize for not providing a proper greeting. It is good to see each and every one of you, albeit we're still in our Hollywood squares. I must tell you, I'm missing you, so I'm feeling a little bit ignored and neglected. I am missing the fellowship that we have in this wonderful room. I think Brother Vince and I are wearing each other out, so it is so good to see each of you. Hope all is well, Mr. Warsinski, with the new baby and the family. Our prayers are always with you all for health and happiness. And Mr. Copeland, it was good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, and I knew you weren't here last time, so it's so good to see you. I always see Mr. Ahmed because I go down there and bore him to death with my broke cars and bother his mechanics. So, and I saw Ms. Rader here the last 2 weeks ago. I scared her to death in Dollar Tree because she hadn't seen me out of a tie. So it is always such a blessing to see each of you, and so I should have greeted you properly from the very beginning to work with this group. That said, moving back to the agenda, I will defer to Mr. Warsinski and his outstanding team to provide an update of projects from the city staff.
Thank you, Committee Chair and members of the committee. Before you have a very brief updates on major projects within the city for you all tonight, and I'll reserve most of my time for the next agenda item, as we are blessed to have Riverside County International Business Office doing a presentation next. So very quickly, the city has started the process of working on a sewer master plan. And what that is master planning your sewer facilities throughout the city in terms of the wastewater treatment plant, ultimate capacity, sewer lines, sewer lift station installs, plus sewer lift station upgrades. As you know, the city is continuously growing, which is exciting. We have new areas of the city that are coming online that have been, for lack of a better term, dormant for a couple years. As other residential areas developed, some other ones sat dormant, and we're starting to see some life in those areas. We're also seeing new tract maps be revived, and additional housing being planned in terms of conceptually through the approval process. And then hopefully those new residential areas will come online and start construction in the near future. We're seeing good amount of industrial interest within the city. And that's basically a snowball effect from the work that we performed maybe 10 years or so ago. The interest in our industrial land and the job creation centers has never been higher, at least in my time with the city of Beaumont. So that's where the sewer master planning comes into play, is that we're really looking at the current facilities, whether they have capacity to meet the needs of all these future projects, in order to understand what we need to do now, what we need to design to accommodate the needs, not only now, but in the future. As you received a parking strategies report from Christina Taylor, our community development director, a couple months back, we're continuing with that process. And then last but not least for you tonight is just a quick update on what the city's consultant is doing for the retail strategy. So as you received the report on the data sets for the retail market analysis, we're now using that to target certain industry groups and certain retailers that are looking to expand within Southern California. Hopefully our data sets match what they're looking for. So I think off the top of my head, we're going for around 34 of those. And we have received interest from a select few up front, and more of them are requesting additional data. The feeling I'm getting currently right now from like fine dining or sit down restaurants, there's a lot that are very interested in our trade area. But with us coming out of COVID or barely coming out of COVID, however you feel that we are in the state of the pandemic, the restaurants themselves are not exactly sure what their expansion plans are at this time. So a lot of feedback from restaurants we're targeting is, Kyle, we're very interested in your area. Your data looks good. We feel that we want to be in this area in the future, but corporate is not really allowing us to look at sites currently. But we'll let you know when that changes, and we'll definitely be in contact with you. So that's called our basically recruitment sprint. That's been ongoing for the past month and a half or so. And then we kick off a new recruitment sprint in the next 2 or 3 weeks, in which retail coach and myself go back to the same targeted groups. And then we kind of hit the pavement again, see if they need anything, if anything has changed over the last 2 or 3 months or so, et cetera. We're also gearing up for the International Shopping Centers Convention that is typically held around this time each year, but this year it's been postponed or rescheduled to December. And that is a huge shopping center conference where most every retailer and major developer attends that. So what we're going to be doing this year is we're creating a list of 5 opportunity sites. An opportunity site is a project in Beaumont that is commercially approved or nearing the application for approval and review. So what we've done is we've highlighted these 5 sites. We've put together a nice package with that data that you all reviewed, as well as the site plan. And if, for example, there's a project that has a building that's 15,000 square feet, we can look at those targeted retailers that we're looking at, figure out who needs something that's 15,000 square feet, and then directly market that site to them. So if they're interested in the city, we're now providing them a definite location, a landowner that they can now work with in order to either buy some land and build the building, or if the developer is looking for a lease, then the developer can build the building and then lease it subsequently to that retailer. So that's kind of what's going on now. We're getting an early start on that. Just because the time's right and we have a lot of things going on. So it's a perfect time to gear up for that conference in December. And that really concludes my report, unless the city manager would like to add any major project updates that I missed out on. I'm getting the thumbs up. So Chairman, I think we're done with this update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warsinski. Do we have any comments or question of Mr. Warsinski of his team at this time? Do we have any questions or comments for Mr. Warsinski?
I do have a question for Kyle. Are we working with some of these vacated landowner properties like in Beaumont, such as, I noticed Victor's Restaurant is no longer in business at the Market Center. Is the city working with the owners of these facilities and just seeing if we can help in any way bring in new business for them, for their location?
Yes, Dave, that's a really good question. So when we have the unfortunate event where a business happens to go out of business and we have a vacancy, we definitely jump on the phone with the landowner, figure out kind of what happened with the previous one, and kind of learn from their mistakes so that we don't kind of force another business to go in and commit the same sins, if you will. Now, the victors to answer that question directly, I've sent countless different restaurants or businesses there, but what we can't do is force the landowner to lease the building for cheaper than they want to do. So what it seems like to me on that specific vacancy is that we have a good sized suite that has a lot of upgrades in it. If you ever frequented Victor's before it was closed, it's pretty nice in there. So the landowner is expecting a certain amount of dollars for that leased space. Most of the restaurants that I have interested are small mom and pops or entrepreneurs that are starting out with maybe their first business venture in the restaurant world, and they simply can't get their budget to balance out with that type of rent. So it really demands a business that has been successful elsewhere in the past, maybe looking for a second or alternate location, maybe their third or fourth restaurant that has some cash flow and has a really good budget in terms of what they can afford to be able to go into that restaurant. As you probably know, none of the chains or the corporate restaurants are going to go into an inline space like that. They all want their own pad. So it really prohibits us marketing it to an Olive Garden per se, just for an example. So we're looking for that small privately owned restaurant to go in there. It's coming down to a dollars and cents thing on that. But it's a really good question and a really great time for me to kind of explain what happens when the city sees a vacancy within a shopping center or an area of town, and kind of how we progressively move forward to hopefully fill that out.
Hey, Kyle, question. I always get confused on this one. The swap meet land, is that privately owned?
Yes, the swap meet is owned by a private family, if you will, and they actually own the swap meet property and pretty much all of the vacant land going behind Applebee's all the way to behind Stater Brothers. So it's roughly 18 to 20 acres that they own, single owner. But yeah, it does include the swap meet.
Do you know if they're interested in bringing somebody in, a user?
The ownership right now is not a developer. They simply hold land. I know that they are accepting offers from developers if someone wants to purchase that property from them and then go through the entitlement process to create a shopping center. So if you have someone in mind that's looking.
Actually, I was thinking of a restaurant on the, I know a restaurant, they need about a quarter of an acre minimum.
Yeah, that should be pretty easy for us to find. But yeah, if you want to send them my way, then I can get them in contact with that landowner and then various other landowners.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Kyle, I have a question. Do we have anything in the city that says that like a landlord, there's a limit on how long their building is vacant? Is there anything about that?
I wish. There's nothing like that. The only thing that we have within the city ordinances in terms of vacancies is dealing with property maintenance.
Oh.
So a landowner can't have a vacant building and then subsequently not maintain the property. So if a building is vacant and they are still keeping it orderly and keeping it looking nice aesthetically,
maintained,
there's not much we can do. Now, if they board up the windows and they stop maintaining the landscaping and paint and so forth, then we kind of step in and make them adhere to the maintenance standards within the city's code. But there's nothing that we can do to affect a vacancy other than keep delivering them possible tenants and hoping they can strike a deal.
Thanks, Kyle.
Any additional questions or comments for Mr. Warsinski or his team? Hearing none at this time, we will defer back to Mr. Warsinski to introduce us to our distinguished guest today before the committee.
Yes, thank you, committee chairman, members of the committee. So a couple meetings back, you asked nicely if we could have a presentation from Riverside County International Business Office. And I reached out to Rob Moran and his team, and then he put me in contact with a very familiar and friendly face that I haven't seen in maybe a little bit, but his name is Jaime Hurtado, and he's been within the Inland Empire and Riverside County for more than I've been here. So he represents Riverside County's International Business Office, and he does have a presentation for you all today per your request. So I'm going to kick it over to Jaime. Jaime, you can share your screen if you have it available, and then you're up, sir.
Kyle, how do I share the screen? I'm not familiar with.
If you have your PDF presentation open, all you have to do is click that green button on the bottom of Zoom where it says share screen. And if you can't do it, I can pull it up real quick for you.
Would you mind, Kyle, helping me out here?
I got you.
You're awesome. Folks, well, well, so glad to be with you all. Thank you for asking the county to present. I am a familiar face with the San Antonio Pass area, particularly Beaumont. I've worked with a former county supervisor for 16 years. And I was blessed to have worked with him, and I'm blessed now for having to take on this new role and responsibility as a manager of the Riverside County International Business Office. And wanted to take a little bit of your time in presenting a little PowerPoint presentation we put together for you guys, so we can give you guys a brief overview. Just a little history. Riverside County is probably out of the 58 counties that I know of, and possibly out of the 3,000 counties in the United States, that an office like ours is in existence. It's a very unique office. It got started when we were called the Riverside County EDA, Economic Development Agency, back in 1999. The Office of Foreign Trade came into being, and just recently, last year, we sort of transformed the Economic Development Agency into the Office of Community Services. And about a month ago, we changed again to the Office of Economic Development. So we are a division within the Economic Development Office here in Riverside County. We specialize in foreign trade, of course, international trade. And here, let me get going on my presentation. So just to get you guys familiarized with the county, we're located here in the heart of Southern California. The county itself is 7,200 square miles. There's 28 cities within the county, and we have a population of 2.5 million residents. Believe it or not, our median age is about 34 years. We have two main rail lines, UP and BNSF, and we are home to colleges and universities, 20 of them. So we train them. Fortunately, we got to keep an eye and put efforts in retaining the workforce. The Riverside advantages is that we have direct access to a total market of 21 million people. We have proximity to airports, the International Airport, the Ontario Airport, Palm Springs Airport, and of course, at various transportation corridors, Highway 10, 60, 62, 215, 15. We still have a lot of vast amounts of undeveloped land available. That's what makes us attractive. We do have a qualified workforce, and we still have the affordable housing. Kyle, help me out on this. What's the average house nowadays cost? About $434,000, would you say, average?
That's a pretty good. It looks like you did some research on that one. You're pretty spot on there. It used to be a little bit lower, but with the increased housing prices, I think our new ones are right in there at low 400s, mid 400s starting out.
So it's good to sell. It's not good to buy, right?
Yeah.
We have some development economic sectors within the county, such as logistics. We're a logistics hub. We have various manufacturing facilities. We have construction, infrastructure, healthcare, tourism, and agriculture. You know, tourism alone, we, especially the Coachella Valley, relies a lot on the Canadians. They bring in about, we have about 300,000 Canadians visiting the Coachella Valley each year. And out of that, we get about 236 million in economic impact. And, you know, agriculture is also very important in the county. We ranked 14 out of 58 counties. We ranked 14. And believe it or not, the gross value of products that are produced in Riverside County is 1.3 billion. And then overall, the contribution to our economy in terms of agriculture is 3.9 billion, which is a very significant amount. One of the primary functions of our office is, and one of my lead responsibilities is to attract foreign direct investment. People from around the globe that want to come to Riverside County and establish business here. We do focus on increasing exports, promoting innovation. I know Kyle has been very involved with our yearly, monthly events. We had about 60 events this year during our Innovation Month that the county and its partners, such as Kyle and other cities, they come together in organizing events, promoting innovation. This year we had 60 events. And ultimately, through foreign direct investment, we like to create new jobs in the county. Part of the foreign direct investment portfolio, we embrace the EB-5 program. It's a program for foreigners when they want to come in and invest. For one visa, if they can create 10 jobs. The threshold of investment went up a bit from 400,000 to 900,000 in the recent years. And what we do with the EB-5 visa is that we provide a letter of support to GoBiz, the state agency, which then the letter goes to the State Department, and then they take it from there. And of course, we support our regional EB-5 centers and prospective developers under that program. We do host, from time to time, international trade delegations. And of course, we love to work with international partners to showcase the FDI advantages within the county. We particularly like our neighbors to the north and south, especially through the United States USMCA or the new NAFTA agreement. We provide export assistance within the county, foreign trade zones in particular. The county has 3 foreign trade zones. One of them, one of the largest, is operated by the March Joint Powers Authority, which is Foreign Trade Zone 244. And we have about 7 ongoing, very active operators within that zone. And believe it or not, in their recent annual report that was provided to me, the value of shipments, and that's calculated in terms of profit, value, and overhead, et cetera, it's 2.1 billion, which is very significant. That was a pretty interesting number. We provide manufacturing assistance. We're in the process of working with California Manufacturing Technology folks and with various cities in putting together a manufacturing event in late October. We hope you can participate, City of Beaumont. We'd love for you to participate. And of course, in the past and in recent history, we've provided export training workshops through a program called ETAP, Export Training Assistance Programs. talked about the different foreign trade zones. The foreign trade zone 244 is basically in the Moreno Valley area, Riverside, Jurupa, Corona area, parts of Lake Elsinore, in Paris. And foreign trade zone 236 is operated by the city of Palm Springs. It's located within the area of the international airport, and that's foreign trade zone 236. And we collaborate and participate in the foreign trade zone 153, which overlaps from San Diego into Riverside. That's it's covered. It covers the areas of Temecula and Murrieta. We like to promote financial logistical benefits to our FTZs. We have great working relationships with the U.S. Commercial Service and the Import-Export Bank and the U.S. Small Business Administration. We offer free consultation at no cost, benefit analysis for becoming an FTZ. Kyle, you're familiar with David Harlow, who's an expert foreign trade zone person, and he's done some quite analysis on 3 of your big operators there in the Beaumont area, which could bring about great potential benefits if they're within a foreign trade zone. And of course, we advocate for the expansion of foreign trade zones, which is a big challenge for us right now because of the business plan that we now want to get together and put together for CBP. Foreign trade zones are operated, regulated, or inspected by a custom border patrol person, and there's certain formulas that they operate under, which is about, I believe, either a 2-hour drive from the port of origin, or I believe 70 miles. We do provide manufacturing assistance. We try and streamline the process of permitting, site selection for manufacturing facilities, workforce development incentives. We work real well with our workforce development folks here within the county. We assist with financing options and utility programs. And of course, we have an ombudsman between city, state partners, and manufacturing jobs. In particular, we partner with the state GoBiz program. From time to time, they send us over a request for information, which all these elements that I just mentioned, we help put together. We have business intelligence teams in this department that helps us with that. I mentioned export training assistance. We've done some webinars, and we've offered some very important topics: how to benefit from foreign trade zones, USMCA, access to Asia. We've done one with the Export-Import Bank, et cetera. So we had those in the last 6 months. We had about 4 webinars. And of course, we have the ETAP, Export Trade Assistance Partnership Program Series, which covers international topics, carefully chosen to provide careful export training. And of course, College of Foreign Trade, where we bring in experts from the private sector, federal, state agencies that share information and resources to exporters. And then we did it about 2 years ago, but we put together an Ag Expo. It's basically comprised of workshops and panel discussions on exporting agriculture. As I mentioned before, agriculture is a very important area here in the county and bring about good economic benefit for the county. And again, we operate here out of Riverside. I manage the team. We have a wonderful team of members here. Veselina Farouk, who's been involved with the Office of Foreign Trade and now part of our team, has been involved with this for involved with us for a long time, as well as Bettina Breckenfeld and myself. Any questions?
So Jaime, first of all, I have to shamelessly plug your College of Foreign Trade, as I guess the correct term is I'm an alumni from the Office of Foreign Trade, because I remember going through that thing, and the old CEO sent me a quick diploma, if you will. So it's definitely a great multiple part training seminar that I decided to go through, just so that I was very familiar with what Riverside County was doing to educate small businesses or large businesses within the area. So I'm not exactly sure. I may have been like the only city person in the thing, but I found it very valuable. So if any of you on the committee know of any business that is thinking about foreign trade, whether it's importing, exporting, both, I would definitely encourage you to have them reach out to myself or to Jaime directly to go through that training process, because it was a multiple part training program. But at the end of, I think it was 6 or maybe even 7 different seminars, you know a lot more about how money comes into the country, how it goes out of the country, to leverage for your small business, medium business, or even a large business, if that's something that they would be interested in.
Let me say thank you to Mr. Hurtado for such an incredibly thorough presentation and bringing your brilliance to share with us. Let me also now extend to our committee members an opportunity to ask any questions or comments for Mr. Hurtado, please.
You covered it all. I like that.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Hurtado?
I do have a question, sir. Some of us on the committee here on the Chamber of Commerce of Beaumont, and would you be able to make this presentation available to our board members at one of our meetings? Can you provide that like in a PDF and just have us distribute that for you, or is that confidential information?
No, it's public information. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to, Kyle, you have our website. Please feel free to share it. There's some more information in the website in detail. It actually has the archives of the past webinars and some good international trade quick facts. It talks about our mission. What else? It talks about links, very important links, local, regional, statewide, federal links that you may find useful.
Great.
Jaime, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is Richard Beneke. You've been around a while, and I'm just kind of curious, from a trending standpoint, do you see any significance in some trends that may be moving in our direction with regards to either manufacturing, retail, et cetera, in the foreign arena? That we may be taking, that we as a city of Beaumont might take advantage of?
I would go ahead. Can I answer that?
Yes.
Richard, I would encourage you to keep looking at logistics as a very prominent business. I'll tell you, healthcare and electronics are on the forefront of what the demand is right now, especially it was during the pandemic. We are having some challenges with the supply chain. Some other ports of entry are backlogged a little bit on other supplies, but you definitely need to look at health, digital technology, aerospace, some construction, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, our exports. Our biggest trading partner, believe it or not, is Mexico when it relates to agriculture.
Good. Yeah, I kind of surmised that, and I'm sure, we have we have quite a bit of land here, and I personally like to see our efforts, if we have any efforts, going after the electronics, the technology, stuff like that. I just kind of have a vision of our southern end here, where we're carving out a bunch of nice property up there in the foothills of a technology campus up there, so to speak. They call everything campuses these days, and have a technology campus up there would be perfect. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Sure. Something else to consider is technical education, vocational education, in terms of getting our workforce, not only workforce ready, but getting ready for automation. It's very important. It's one of our next big things. We're actually going to do a webinar on automation. There's a fellow, I believe, out of Redlands that's going to be providing that. And I'll send Kyle some more information on that. And if you guys are interested, I would definitely encourage you to join in on that.
Good, thank you.
Fantastic. Again, thank you. Are there any more comments or questions for Mr. Hurtado? Again,
Chairman,
then
I have one more.
go right ahead.
So Jaime, if a business is looking at exporting, I saw the slew of different services that you guys offer. If any of us come across a business that's looking at doing that, should we have them simply call you or go on the website? Is it okay if they call you?
Call me directly. I'm very accessible, either by email or a phone call. And I'd be more than happy to respond and get him to some help. Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. So don't have them wait for the next webinar. Have them just call you and they can figure out all the services with you directly.
Yes. We are gonna put up a flyer on the website. We're gonna get David Harlow. He's a foreign trade zone specialist, in particular in that particular area, that will be providing free consultations to you, and on the benefits of foreign trade zone and of course the foreign direct investments here in the county. And by all means, if you have any economic development questions for the county, Kyle knows how to get a hold of myself or Rob. We have a great team here dedicated to help you all. You know, we don't consider ourselves a competing, but a partner, because your numbers are our numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you again very much, Mr. Hurtado, and then thank you, Mr. Warsinski, for bringing this presentation before the body. Hearing no other questions or comments at this time, we will move on to discuss topics for future agendas. Are there any recommendations for topics for future agendas? Any recommendation for topics for future agendas? One more. Any recommendations for topics for future agendas? Hearing none at this time, we will move on to the area of reports. Are there any reports from our committee members? Yes, sir. Councilmember Finn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to briefly mention that instead of Mayor Pro Tem White, I attended the Riverside County Transportation Committee meeting this morning, and they had several things to talk about, but one in particular was the discussion of the proposed rail from LA to Coachella and the efforts of what's going on with the county, from everything from freeway problems to the train and so forth. And there seems to be some skepticism in there in that they want to make sure that if a rail and such a big project were to come through, that they have proper destinations and so forth. One member spoke about living in China for 10 years. I had served in the Army and served in Augsburg, Germany. And so both of us had similar experiences on relying on public transportation where we can get from point A to point B quite easily with maybe either short walk or a short taxi ride or something like that. But the efforts to, if they're going to do this train and this extra effort that we have places to go and places to do with those train stops and so forth. And so I see it on the county level. They're working on it, talking about it and so forth. I know that at some point things will come our direction. There may be a rail go right through San Gregorio Pass area, right through Beaumont. There may be a third rail to do that. It's a very expensive project if it were to be that case. But just there's talking about it and there's efforts putting towards it to make it a common sense type approach. Seems like the general feeling of the members that were in that meeting is the freeways will never get better. You know, by the time you fix something, there's more traffic to add to that. And so we had comments from both sides of kind of the aisle on that, I'll call that, but just something to bring to our attention that we're in the middle of all of it. and so forth. So I think there'll be more information that we'll hear down the road from other sources and so forth, but I just wanted to throw that out there for some food for thought in the future. Thanks.
Councilmember Finn, may I ask for just a point of clarification? When you
Sure.
refer to rail service, are we speaking in terms of Metrolink or are we speaking in terms of
So
Amtrak?
they talked about Metrolink, but then they also talked about this particular Coachella, I'm calling it the Coachella train, I guess. But that would be a train that would serve passenger traffic from Los Angeles to the low desert, with it passing through the San Gorgonio Pass area. There were presentations that were given previously, and if I remember correctly, it would go from LA down to Anaheim, and then through Riverside, then to Loma Linda, somewhere in the Pass 8 area for a stop, and then eventually all the way out to Coachella. But one disadvantage of the project, they talked about it would only have two-way runs, per day. And some members of the public spoke that if they were to do such a thing, that they'd want to see it more often, that people can use it for commuting, people could take, the train out to a destination and so forth. I don't know that if we have the room here in the city to have something like that, but maybe there ends up a stop in Morongo for the outlets, or something like that. It's being talked about. There's a lot of effort going into planning on this. I think we're going to just see more of it. I see that we're a civilization that relies on cars a lot, but I think the transportation committee is trying to focus on, if we can get more people on trains, then there's more room on the freeways for the cars, but our population, I think, increases faster than we can make a decision on. And so they talked about being behind the 8 ball on that. But it would be commuter traffic. There's 2 rails that come through here. As mentioned, it was Union Pacific and BNSF, but there may be a 3rd rail needed to make all that happen.
Hey, David, I have a question.
Sure.
We can't connect to the new line going in from Redlands to Union Station?
That's a different line. I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, but as I was on one of those meetings, I got on Google Maps. I started following where those train tracks went from Redlands, and it looks like that track goes north through San Bernardino and then to LA that direction.
Yeah, my information. It's going to run 6 times a day between Redlands and San Bernardino, and twice a day Redlands through San Bernardino to Union Station.
Okay. And then this other one would use the different rail system that runs to the south of Redlands through the Canyon and Loma Linda area and come through there, and using those either borrow time from the 2 existing tracks or have to put a 3rd one in. So I'm just the new guy hearing this, and I'm like, wow, big project, a lot of money. Who's going to use it? And is there going to be enough ridership for it and that sort of stuff? But what's nice is there's other people asking those questions now too.
So it's probably got a projection date of 25 years.
Oh, I'd imagine so. And then with other efforts, and if there is a rail that runs through, then maybe each city needs to look at, hey, does it make sense for us to connect to that? Like the bullet train to Northern California, a lot of cities want to stop along the way. Well, if you stop too many times, it's not a bullet train anymore. So I'm just kind of just shooting a flare up to say, hey, there's a lot of effort going into this right now.
That's good. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have. Thank you so much, sir, for that update. Thank you for the information. Are there any other reports from the committee? Any other reports? I'm going to give Mr. Warsensi, go ahead.
I have one. I know you're probably very tired of listening to me talk today, but I do want to give a brief update that if you're not aware, and you probably all are, that the new movie theater is open, showing feature films in Beaumont. So I promised you that when that thing happened, you guys would all know about it. You may have all already gone to the facility, and that's super exciting. But I do know that the committee, when it was formed, kind of was tracking the progress of this development throughout the many years it takes to get it approved and the tenants lined up and actually constructed. And now we have that facility open. So we're very happy about that. And I do want to give major props and kudos to my colleagues in the other departments that actually make the approvals and then the building and the construction actually happen. So I do want to thank my colleagues in planning, building and safety, public works, and in the fire marshal's office.
Thank you, sir. Recognize Council Member Finn, please.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. Kyle, I went to the movie theater yesterday. Very nice. The seats are very comfortable. But man, bring a sweater. That AC works good. It was a nice place.
Let me say congratulations to the city of Beaumont, to our leadership, and to our city for that such a successful development. Yet another opportunity, Mr. Warsinski, for me to add calories to my belt line, because I love big buckets of popcorn when I go to the movie. So you all will have to get in there and help me stop from all the snacking. But congratulations to the city. We are doing some remarkable things. Are there any other reports from our committee members or committee? Let me just give a quick plug for the institution for which I work, Mount San Jacinto College. As you know, with COVID, we had gone virtual. We are now opening our doors. Our summer session is underway, and we have about 25% of our courses that are face-to-face. We look at about 80% going back face-to-face in the fall. And we have also opened our fourth campus fully, the Temecula Valley campus. And so we're very excited about that. So as you talk to individuals who are looking for educational opportunity, we are there, and we love to serve this community. The other thing that I do want to put in just a quick plug, and I mentioned this very briefly to Ms. Rader just out in the hallway last time, but we are toying with the idea with our San Gorgonio campus over here between Beaumont and Banning. We're toying with the idea of repurposing part of that for an incubator, business incubator. And so we want to have some conversations with the city of Beaumont and the city of Banning of how we can serve businesses in this community. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And as I was sharing with Ms. Rader, because of her connections to the Chamber of Commerce, this is not something that would cost anybody anything other than the opportunity to the partnership and refer folks to us that they could benefit from such an opportunity. So we will be talking with you further about that as we go into planning. We put together a proposal, and we'll see where it goes with our leadership on our campus as well as our Board of Trustees. And so I will be reaching out, I know, to Mr. Warsinski and to Mr. Pardon to have some discussions about that moving into the future. So, and of course, our Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Rader and her team. So thank you for that. Are there any other reports that, yes, ma'am, Ms. Rader, go right ahead.
I'd figure out how to unmute. Just wanted to say that our June 11th Good Morning Beaumont is already full, so that attendance is closed. The July 19th Beaumont breakfast, our speaker will be Officer Loza from the Beaumont Police Department. He's actually the business liaison, so our businesses might be very interested in what he has to say. And we are in the process of making arrangements to have the State of the City luncheon this year on August 25th. So more information to come on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to get back into fellowship with our wonderful Chamber of Commerce. So thank you so much for that. Any other reports from this committee? Hearing none at this time, we will move to adjourn as we are not obligated to have a vote at this time at 4:55 p.m. We will call the Economic Development Committee for the City of Beaumont adjourned.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much for giving us 5 minutes.
Yes, we've given you back the most precious resource on the planet, time. Thank you, sir.
Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye, all.
No, I'm working still. Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you were man of leisure. I own the termite company. Okay. Well, if you ever back down in the area.